They say betrayal always comes dressed as a friend. But mine wore Chanel perfume and smiled like my sister. It was a humid Thursday in Savannah, Georgia, one of those sticky afternoons where the air felt like molasses and nothing made sense. I was pulling a tray of lemon bars out of the oven when my phone buzzed. A text from my husband, Ryan. Ryan, working late. Don't wait up. I stared at the screen for a moment, heat from the oven fogging up my glasses. Something about that message felt off. Ryan was a pediatric surgeon, sure, but late nights were rare unless it was an emergency. I brushed the doubt away. That's what love does, it covers warning signs in blind trust. Then she walked in. Amanda, something smells amazing, my best friend Kelsey chirped, kicking off her sandals at the door. She looked like she always did, breezy, blonde, glowing. She and I had been inseparable since college. She knew every secret I had, including how I always feared not being enough for Ryan. We sat at the kitchen island, sipping wine, her fingers playing with the charm bracelet I'd given her last Christmas. You and Ryan still planning that Napa trip? She asked casually. Hopefully this fall, I said. He's been swamped at the hospital. Something's off lately, but I'm probably just being paranoid. Kelsey smiled. You? Paranoid? Never. She reached across the counter and squeezed my hand. You're amazing, Mandy. Don't let stress get in your head. Her tone was warm, but her eyes flickered, like she knew something I didn't. That night, after Kelsey left and the house fell silent, I tossed and turned, mind racing. Around 2 a.m., Ryan came home. He didn't kiss me, just slid under the sheets and turned his back. I stared at the ceiling in the dark, my heart whispering what my brain didn't want to hear. The next morning, I went to do laundry and found something odd, Ryan's scrubs in the hamper, but the hospital badge he always clipped to his chest was missing. I reached into the pocket and pulled out a receipt. Bella Vita Spa, couples massage, $310. Dated 2 days ago. I stood there frozen, my fingers trembling. Not because of the spa, but because Kelsey had mentioned she had an amazing deep tissue massage just 2 days ago. The same spa. Same day. My heart split open. Cliffhanger. I picked up my phone and dialed Kelsey. She didn't answer. But 30 seconds later, Ryan texted me. Ryan, everything okay? Why are you calling Kelsey? The blood drained from my face as I stared at Ryan's text. Why are you calling Kelsey? That wasn't concern. That was panic. I didn't reply. I couldn't. My hands were shaking too badly. I just stood there, in the laundry room, holding that crumpled spa receipt like it was radioactive. When I finally walked back upstairs, Ryan was already gone, off to work, I assumed. My mind was in a fog, but I knew one thing, I needed proof. Something solid. Something that couldn't be explained away with a lie and a smile. So I started looking. It began small. I opened our shared calendar on my laptop and scrolled through past weeks. Lots of late shifts, all recent. All last minute. Then I remembered that Ryan synced his photos to our home drive automatically, part of his obsessive habit to never lose any memories. I clicked the folder marked July 2025. And froze. Photo after photo, most were medical lectures, selfies with his co-workers, but one image made my stomach turn. It was blurry, taken in dim lighting. But there was no mistaking the reflection in the mirror behind him. Kelsey. Wearing a red sweater I'd loaned her last winter. Her hands wrapped around a champagne flute. The timestamp said 10:32 p.m., the exact night Ryan told me he'd slept at the hospital due to a 14-hour surgery. I closed the laptop slowly. Everything started spinning. Later that day, I texted Kelsey. Just one line. Want to grab coffee tomorrow? Just us girls. She replied 5 minutes later. Kelsey. Sure. Let's do that cute place on River Street. Noon. I stared at the screen. My pulse pounded in my ears. I couldn't believe she had the audacity to act normal, like she hadn't crawled into my marriage wearing a smile and perfume I'd bought her for her birthday. Noon couldn't come fast enough. But before I even made it to the coffee shop, another twist knocked the breath out of me. I walked into my car, opened the glove box looking for napkins, and found an envelope. A pale pink one. Inside was a folded note. In Kelsey's handwriting. My name was on it. Cliffhanger. I unfolded the note with trembling hands. And read the first line. Mandy, you deserve to know the truth. Ask ChatGPT. I read the line over and over. Mandy, you deserve to know the truth. The handwriting was unmistakable. Curvy, loopy letters. Kelsey always dotted her I's with tiny circles like a teenager. I sat frozen in my driveway, the AC blasting, the engine humming, but my entire body was locked in place. Finally, I unfolded the rest of the letter. I never meant for it to happen. You have to believe that. Ryan was the one who made the first move. He said your marriage was over, that you were just pretending. I was stupid. Weak. But it's been going on for a few months now and I care about him. I didn't know how to tell you without destroying everything. I'm so sorry. Please know I never wanted to hurt you. I love you, Mandy. I always have. K. I dropped the letter. My heart felt like it was cracking open in slow motion. This wasn't some drunken one-night mistake. It was an affair. A relationship. With my husband. My best friend. And they had the gall to paint themselves as victims of circumstance. I stared out the windshield at the world, the same sun, the same street, the same birds flitting across the power lines. But everything felt different now. I wasn't just heartbroken. I was humiliated. But humiliation. That fades. Rage. That festers. I drove to the coffee shop anyway. Kelsey was already at a table by the window, sipping a latte like nothing had happened. She waved when she saw me, like we were just two old friends catching up. I walked over, sat down, and looked her straight in the eye. Did you leave the note in my car? I asked. Her smile flickered. I didn't know how else to. How long? I cut her off. Be honest. She blinked. Then, after a beat, she whispered, since March. 4 months. 4 months of sleepovers and girls' nights and shared laughs while she was sleeping with my husband behind my back. I never meant to hurt you, she said, tearing up. You didn't mean to lie. You didn't mean to sneak around while I trusted you with everything. Mandy, please. But I wasn't crying. I was done crying. I stood up, threw my coffee untouched into the trash, and leaned in close enough for only her to hear. You chose him over me. You both did. So don't expect me to play the fool anymore. She looked scared then. Not guilty. Scared. Good. Because I was just getting started. Cliffhanger. That night, I made 2 calls. One to a divorce attorney. And one to a private investigator. Ask ChatGPT. The divorce attorney's name was Simone Vega, sharp as a razor and twice as clean. She didn't waste time with sympathy. Infidelity doesn't just break hearts, she told me. It breaks legal protections. If we play this right, you'll come out with more than just closure. Her words lit something inside me. Not just hope. Control. The thing I'd slowly been losing since Ryan started slipping away behind late shifts and unread messages. Next came James, the PI. A former cop turned investigator, with a voice like gravel and eyes that missed nothing. Need proof. He said. We'll get proof. And oh, did he deliver. Within 5 days, I had high-resolution photos, timestamps, and even video clips. Ryan and Kelsey weren't being careful anymore. They thought I was blind, or worse, still trusting. One video showed them holding hands outside his office parking lot, laughing like they were the stars of a rom-com no one asked for. Another was taken through a hotel lobby camera, Ryan checking in under a fake name, Kelsey trailing behind him, dressed like she belonged to someone. James slid the USB drive across the cafe table to me. Everything you need, he said. Thanks, I replied, staring down at the drive. It was small. Forgettable. But it held the power to rip the mask off 2 liars who'd turned my life into a stage play. I didn't cry. Not anymore. Instead, I smiled. Because I had a plan now. The next morning, Ryan came home from an overnight shift, or so he claimed. I had pancakes waiting, fresh coffee, even the TV on low, humming with some morning show neither of us really watched. "Wow," he said, surprised. "This is nice." I kissed his cheek. "You've been working so hard." I wanted to do something sweet. He looked at me, a little confused. Maybe even guilty. But I didn't give him time to think. "Oh, Kelsey left her charm bracelet here," I said casually, setting it on the table. "Can you drop it off to her on your way to work?" He froze. The bracelet sparkled under the kitchen light. "The same one I gave her last Christmas." Sure," he muttered, eyes flicking up to mine. I tilted my head. Smiled wider. "Everything okay?" I asked. He nodded. Too quickly. Liar. Cliffhanger. That afternoon, I uploaded the PI footage. Not to the internet. Not yet. Just sent one email. To Ryan's hospital board. With the subject line. Conduct unbecoming, urgent HR matter. 3 days later, the fallout began. I was folding towels when Ryan stormed through the front door, slamming it so hard a picture frame tilted on the wall. "Are you kidding me?" he shouted. I didn't flinch. Just calmly placed a towel on the stack and turned to face him. "Problem. You emailed my hospital board. With spy footage. That's career-ending, Amanda." "Only if it's true," I said. "And it is, isn't it?" He looked like he'd been sucker-punched. "You're blowing this out of proportion. Kelsey and we didn't plan this." "Oh, I know. You just accidentally ended up in hotel rooms and lying to your wife for 4 months. Completely innocent." He ran a hand through his hair, pacing like a trapped animal. "You just cost me my promotion. They've suspended me. Hours launching a full investigation." I wanted to feel bad. I really did. But then I remembered the night I stayed up waiting for him with dinner growing cold. The spa receipt. The reflection in the mirror. Her red sweater. "You should probably pack a bag," I said. "Simone filed the separation papers today. I'll be keeping the house." "You're insane," he hissed. "No," I replied. "I'm just done playing the sweet wife to a man who sleeps with my best friend." His jaw clenched. For a second, I saw something dark in his eyes, not regret. Resentment. But that wasn't my problem anymore. The next time I saw Kelsey was by accident. At a downtown boutique, flipping through scarves like nothing in the world was burning around her. She spotted me and froze. I could see her debating whether to turn and run. Instead, she smiled. Weakly. "Mandy." I didn't speak. I just pulled out my phone and pressed play on a clip from the PI footage, them outside the hotel, her kissing Ryan in the driver's seat. Her face drained of color. I looked her dead in the eye. "You know what the saddest part is, Kelsey?" I said. "I don't even miss him. But I mourn you. Or at least, the version of you I thought was real." I never wanted this," she whispered. "Then you shouldn't have wanted him." I walked away before she could answer. She'd lost me. Forever. Cliffhanger. That evening, a reporter emailed me. Subject line. "Interested in telling your story. Anonymous or exclusive. Your choice." I stared at the email for a full minute. Savannah Current, lifestyle and community features. Subject. Interested in telling your story. Anonymous or exclusive. Your choice. Apparently, someone from Ryan's hospital leaked the internal HR memo. The story was already circling behind closed doors. The Golden Boy surgeon, suspended for inappropriate conduct with a personal acquaintance. And rumors love oxygen. I could have deleted the message. But something in me, something scorched and still smoldering, clicked reply. "Hi Ava, I'm open to speaking. But I have terms. No names. No identifying details. Just the truth. Amanda." We met the next morning at a quiet coffee shop near Forsyth Park. Ava was younger than I expected, with sharp eyes and a calm energy. I brought copies of the PI footage, redacted documents from Simone, and even the apology letter Kelsey had written me. The one she'd never imagined the world might see. This story, Ava said, flipping through the folder, is more than scandal. It's betrayal, empowerment, accountability. I nodded. Then write it that way. 2 weeks later, it went live. When the knife cuts deep. One woman's story of friendship, infidelity, and taking back her life. The piece exploded. The comments flooded in. Women from across the state and the country wrote to me, sharing their own heartbreaks, their buried suspicions, their quiet victories. I never said Ryan's name. Or Kelsey's. But in our circle, everyone knew. The hospital quietly extended Ryan's suspension to an indefinite leave. His promotion was revoked. His reputation, pristine, polished, Ivy League perfect, cracked under the weight of whispers he couldn't outrun. Kelsey, once the darling of every social invite, found herself excluded from girls' nights, brunches, even volunteer committees. No one wanted to be seen choosing her. One evening, I got a message from her mother. "I'm so sorry, Amanda. We raised her better than this." I didn't reply. Some bridges don't burn. They disintegrate. In the middle of all this, I started to breathe again. Real, full breaths. I joined a yoga class. Took myself out to lunch. Started painting again. Something I hadn't done since college. And for the first time in years, I saw myself in the mirror and didn't flinch. Not a wife. Not a victim. Just me. Cliffhanger. A week later, Simone called. "I think it's time we discuss the asset clause Ryan signed when you supported him through med school." I remember the day Ryan signed that clause. We were sitting on the floor of our old apartment, eating cold Thai takeout off paper plates. He had just been accepted into his surgical residency. I was working full-time at the marketing firm, paying the bills while he chased his dream. "We should put it in writing," Simone had told me back then. "If you're financially supporting him through med school, you need protection. Future assets. Equity in what you helped build." Ryan had laughed and kissed my forehead. "Of course," he'd said. "You believed in me when no one else did. Whatever's mine is yours." So he signed it, a clause granting me 50% of all assets earned during and after his residency, including retirement accounts, bonuses, and yes, future income related to the reputation I helped him build. He never imagined I'd use it. But then again, he never imagined I'd catch him. Now, sitting in Simone's office again, I watched her lay out the numbers. Based on his current income and projected earnings, your settlement claim is substantial. We're talking real equity, Amanda. Not just alimony. This is legacy money. My stomach flipped, not from greed, but from justice. From the realization that every sleepless night, every sacrificed weekend, every overtime shift I worked to cover our rent, meant something. "He's going to fight this," I said quietly. Simone gave me a sharp smile. "He can try. But he signed it. Voluntarily. In writing. With counsel present." When Ryan was served the formal financial petition, he showed up at my door, unannounced, rage barely held behind his eyes. "This is extortion," he spat. "You want to bleed me dry now?" "No," I said calmly. "I want what I earned. What you promised." "You're punishing me." "No," I repeated. "You punished yourself the second you treated my loyalty like a doormat." He paced the porch like a caged animal, then turned back to me. "This isn't over, Mandy." I met his eyes, completely still. "It already is." The next day, his attorney reached out to Simone. They wanted to settle quietly. Because the last thing Ryan wanted was a public hearing where every dirty detail could legally enter the record. We drafted the terms. 50% of his current assets. An additional portion of future licensing and appearance fees, thanks to his growing side career in pediatric media consulting. And full ownership of the house. Simone slid the final contract across her desk for me to sign. I took the pen. And smiled. Cliffhanger. The ink had barely dried when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Mandy, it's Kelsey. I need to see you. Please." "It's not about Ryan. It's something else." I almost didn't answer. The message sat on my screen like a flickering ghost. Mandy, it's Kelsey. I need to see you. Please. It's not about Ryan. It's something else. I stared at it for a long time. Then, against every instinct in my body, I typed. 1 hour. Forsyth Park. By the fountain. She showed up exactly on time, wrapped in a pale cardigan like she could still blend into the version of herself I used to love. But her eyes were bloodshot. And something in her face was different. Hollow. I wouldn't have reached out if it wasn't serious, she said. I'm not here to ask for forgiveness. Good, I replied. You're not getting it. She swallowed hard, then pulled a small manila envelope from her bag and placed it between us on the bench. It's about Ryan, she said. I found something. I should have come forward sooner, but I was scared. I didn't realize how bad it was. I didn't move. I went to his place to get some of my stuff back, she continued. He wasn't home. But his laptop was open. I saw folders. Financials. Hidden accounts. Overseas transfers. Stuff that's not on any legal record. I blinked. You're saying he's hiding money? More than money, she said. He's been funneling income through consulting gigs and offshore LLCs. I think he's been doing it for years. I opened the envelope. Inside were screenshots, wire transfers, and login details. If it was true, Ryan hadn't just betrayed me, he'd potentially committed financial fraud. Why give this to me? I asked. Kelsey looked away. Because I finally realized who he really is. And maybe, who I became trying to keep up with him. There was no apology. Just regret. But I didn't need closure from her anymore. I left the park, drove straight to Simone's office, and dropped the envelope on her desk. By the end of the week, the forensic accountants were involved. The judge reopened the asset division with new evidence. And Ryan. He was facing not just a lawsuit, but a formal IRS audit. Turns out karma doesn't knock. It documents. My story went further than I ever imagined, picked up by regional news, then national. I stayed anonymous, but the message resonated. Women wrote to me from all over. Some cried. Some thanked me. Some said they finally felt seen. I never replied to Ryan's last text. You ruined my life. I didn't have to. Because the truth. He ruined his own. I just handed him the mirror. Now. I sleep like I never did during all those overnight shifts. I garden. I laugh. I wake up in my own house, the one I fought for, the one I rebuilt with peace. My story isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming. And now. It's over.